welcome everyone. My name is Benjamin Niaulin. I'm going to be talking about the future. No, we're going to be looking at the future of collaboration with SharePoint in the past. How is it? How people used it? Where is it going in the future? Office 365 and everything around it. Where does Dell fit in? Where does the video portal fit in? Where does everything really fit in the story of collaboration? Basically, is SharePoint still SharePoint at the end of the day? So again, my name is Benjamin. I work at a company called ShareGate, come from Montreal, and where we had a very, very severe snowstorm. I thought I could not make it this morning. We had about between 50 and 60 centimeters of snow in 12 hours. So it's much nicer over here. Again, so let's begin. I want to thank, of course, the sponsors, but all the sponsors, of course, that make the event possible. And thank you, Evolusys, of course, for the invitation. It's always great to come and see and visit some friends here on the other side. So where are we going? Where are we going with all of this? Is it changing again, becoming difficult to follow the changes every week, every month, all new feature here? And is it the right path? Do we need to be going? Is this the direction we want to go? And I visited a customer of ours. I want to tell you the story a little bit. This is in Iceland. So believe it or not, they didn't have snow when I went. It was warmer than Montreal, Canada. So I was disappointed because I thought there were colder places in the world, but no. I went to visit our customer, actually from a long time, and they're called the Iceland Bank, Íslandsbanki. And essentially, they're doing a shift. Everything is changing. And they're modernizing with this is their new office that they just moved in a couple of months ago. And essentially, here's the way that it works. And this may be interesting. We may want to discuss this after during a break. Or they decided to go with an activity-based office. So everything is activity-based. What do I mean by this? When if you work at Íslandsbanki and you go into work in the morning, you do not have your own desk, right? Every day when you come into work, you go sit where you need to go sit for the project that you work on. So you need to go on the 6th floor this week because you're working on a specific project. You're going to go to the 6th floor this week and you're going to work on that specific project. No one is allowed to leave their stuff at a desk. This is a bank. This is not the 20-year-old startup. This is the bank. No one is allowed to leave their stuff at their desk for more than 90 minutes if they're not going to be at the desk. You're going to a meeting that's going to last over 90 minutes. Take your stuff, take your laptop, and you'll go and sit at a different desk when you come back. Everything, what they want is to mobilize people to work by the activity that they work on and make sure that there's more and more collaboration happening. So this is, I thought, very interesting. So the desks have separators. If you are 6 people working on a team, you just move the separator from the long desk to make it a table of, instead of a table for 10, it becomes a table for 4, separator, table for 6. Then you move the separator, table for 5, table for 5. And every team can adjust and work together this way. Meeting rooms, most of them cannot be reserved, cannot be booked. You just go into it, and there's many of them everywhere, and you just work from there. Interesting, isn't it? Very different. And I was surprised and happy to see that even a bank is able to work in this fashion today. And that brings me a little bit to where we're going with Office 365 and SharePoint. And more, we're looking into the activity and not the org structure or the actual product. Right? What we're going to be introducing, or what we're introducing, is to not just work with SharePoint all the time, is based on what you have to do, different products may be the right solution for you. Everybody still doing okay? Everybody speak English? I should have asked first, but it's like, oh no, il faut recommencer. Okay. All right. So this is a slide that I use very frequently because I find it really covers what's happening or what's happened in the past. We have IT, we have the end user. And IT deployed SharePoint 2007, and the end users, the people, have no choice. They're like, oh, well, IT told us to use SharePoint 2007, so we're going to use SharePoint 2007. Okay, IT upgrades to, there's a new version, so I'm just going to upgrade to the new version, 2010. And then the end user says, okay, well, we'll use your SharePoint 2010. Now they say, oh, there's a new version. I'm going to put SharePoint 2013 or 2016, which seem very similar. But I shouldn't say that. It's recorded. Okay. So you have SharePoint 2013 coming in, and now you have the end user saying, yes, we'll use Share. And then there are Dropbox, Box, Trello, Slack, YouTube. And I went to visit one of our customers in Montreal, and a big gas company, big gas, 4,000 employees. And relatively big, I find big, but maybe it's because we're just 250 people. And when I saw what they were working, they say, look, Benjamin, we have a big problem. The HR department is literally using YouTube everywhere. Like, why? Wow. Why? Because they found that they wanted to do video training now. They want to do video training. They find it's the way of the future for training. It's easy to record a video now. You can take your phone on a tripod and film somebody, or you can record with Snagit, Camtasia, and create a video for your end users. But when HR asked IT to do a video training, they said, okay, we could maybe do a SharePoint content type, put it in document sets, and they're like, why are we doing this in SharePoint? No, but I mean, SharePoint's a platform. You can build whatever you want. Yeah, but do we have to do a video portal with SharePoint? And so it was really, really interesting. So IT took some time going back, and then HR said, okay, yeah, we'll wait. And they just turn around, YouTube, private channel, instantly works on all mobile devices, does streaming, adjusts to the bandwidth, has everything that they needed. So they used it. And the difference, there's always the joke. I don't know if you guys have used the same joke before, but when computers came into the office, everybody said, oh, she used liquid paper to erase the screen, or he used the eraser to try and erase the screen, as a joke because people were not comfortable with computers. But today you talk to your niece, which is something that happened. I keep saying that she was 5 years old, but today she's 7 years old. I use the same joke every time. But I went there, she was 5 years old, and she's on YouTube. We're at a party. This is a birthday party or New Year, I forget, a birthday party. And she's showing me YouTube. She's going through the channels. And like, look, my video has 117 views. I'm like, you can speak? Wow. But she's on YouTube, and she's showing me all these things. So the technology, the people coming into work, even at my office sometimes, they're very comfortable with technology. But even people that have been at the office for many years, they're also very comfortable because of their iPhones, because of apps. The other time, our server had no more hard drive space. We were running out. So in North America, we have this little store called Costco where everyone can go buy anything, basically. And so the people that I was walking into the office, they said, well, why don't you go get some more hard drive? I saw good 10 terabytes for $100 at the store. It's like, it doesn't work like this, but I understand that now everybody's very comfortable, which means that you can choose to upgrade and upgrade and upgrade without looking at what the end users want. But the people will go and get what they need themselves now. It's the SaaS world era, if we want. In fact, I found something interesting, completely hors sujet, as we say. But something interesting is people started looking at their employees, their talent, and they're starting to call it subscription talent. It's the same way as if you have a software as a service, you have almost employees as a service now. How do you do it on a month-to-month basis to keep them working and entertained, if you want, at your office, to keep them at your office? So very interesting, but this is the reality that we work in. I thought I'd put a little video of our friends to ask them. The sound's going to come from my laptop, but it's very, very quick to see do you guys bypass IT?
Have you ever
Oh, wow.
gone around
MacBook
IT
Pro.
and installed applications on your network?
Yes.
No.
Of course. Who doesn't do that? Of course.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? If you can't get them to do it for you, you do it yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Sure. That's
Things like Notepad++, ReSharper for Visual Studio.
Yeah, you do it all the time. You know, as a developer, I have to go around IT because IT are roadblocks to what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to create.
yeah, I use Slack, Evernote, and Dropbox.
The text expander, Wunderlist, Notepad++.
Dropbox, because I couldn't get OneDrive to sync.
I want to say Evernote. What else could be? I mean, of course, now Slack is approved.
Google Drive. I'm not using Google Drive. Evernote, I think, is my
Facebook to get work done.
Yeah, Facebook. Facebook.
So basically, it's the reality today. Of course, if I put statistics, they're probably good for this presentation. But 83% of CIOs experience some level of unauthorized IT. 72% of execs don't know how many IT applications they have. Basically, there's a lot. This is from last year, from Gartner, from TechCrunch. It's the reality today. Everybody's starting to use so many different products that we're losing a little bit of control. So what happened? Essentially, I used the Matrix. I hope you all seen the movie because I'm going to ruin it for you. All right? Everybody see it? Yeah, man, no choice. But basically, we found out after 3 long movies, trilogy, that the whole thing was IT that controlled this, the architect, right? At the end of all this, there's a red pill, there's a blue pill. You can go into this fake world that is controlled by IT, the architect, or you can take, I think it's the red pill, and you can say, no, I don't want IT. I'm going to go get my own stuff, and that's going to be Zion, the rebel stuff. And then you do 3 movies, and at the end, IT is like, they're both mine. Both the rebels, the Zion, and the Matrix is both environments that I provide to you, the end user, and I offer you the choice to be able to control you, to make sure that it's approved and secure. Because if I don't give you the choice, you're going to bypass me and you're going to go elsewhere. It's not going to work. And that's essentially the similarities that I see happening today. Is if you show up and you say you must use SharePoint for everything, some users will say, no, not for me. And it's the whole joke of, the advertisement for Mac, Apple? Some people want to be the Windows, some people want to be the Mac, right? But you need to still offer both. There's going to be both people in the organization. Not everyone works the same way. You can have 2 departments or 2 teams inside of engineering, inside the same company, and some people use chat for conversations, and the others prefer email. But they're still going to get the work done. The idea is to offer all solutions, but in a controlled environment. So most of the time in the past, this was the solution. I have licenses of SharePoint. I must use them. So you try to fix every problem with SharePoint. You want to do a small team on a project? Of course, that's SharePoint. You want to do a big team on a project? What do you use? SharePoint. You want to do a CRM? Don't go get Dynamics or Salesforce. You could build it custom SharePoint. You want to do a relational database? This one is the best one. I always have customers asking me, well, how do you do many to one? And they're like, well, use a database. But no, I want to do SharePoint lists. Or I want a new website. And I'm guilty. We did our own. If I go quickly navigate, we built our own SharePoint, not for us, but for a customer, NunavutParks.ca. It's kind of like national park, if you want, which will eventually load. This is on premises using our wonderful Wi-Fi. I don't have any bad websites saved. Excellent. So this is SharePoint 2013. So even I'm guilty. We've created for customers SharePoint 2013 public-facing websites. But all of this, we always said SharePoint is the solution. You want to do web dev from scratch? Of course, why would you do that when you can do some kind of XSLT, SharePoint Designer, wonderful SharePoint stuff. You want a ham sandwich? Yeah? I'm not sure. But everybody's always trying to do and turn everything into SharePoint, right? You usually have those people at work, or you're that people at work. It's okay, we're going to try change. But SharePoint, before, if you go back, we would say, SharePoint, amazing. It's like a platform, you can build whatever you want with it. Today, SharePoint's kind of like a platform, so you have to go build it if you want it. It's the same sentence, but now people want it ready. I want to subscribe, and I want it to work, and I want it mobile, and I want it ready to go. And it's not the same as before. So I'm not saying SharePoint is bad. Of course, 9 out of the 10 award-winning intranets last year were using SharePoint technology. So SharePoint's still great, and we want to use it. It's just that it's good at what it does, but it's not great at what we try to make it. I like to say we tortured SharePoint. And now it said, I had enough. So it went back to the team sites, and essentially what we're seeing happening. And Office 365 is not the solution. I put superheroes come to save the world. It's not the solution for everything. We're going to need hybrid. We're still going to need on-premises servers, and there's going to be another on-premises coming out. That's definitely sure. But Office 365 approaches that problem where we try to use SharePoint for everything. And the solution that we see is the same that we saw with Íslandsbanki or Iceland Bank. It's going to activity-based work. You're a team of people. Here's a package of products. Use whatever you need to get the work done. I'll make sure that it's safe, secured, that you cannot share with external users if different conditions apply. So it's the ability to go from the me part of work all the way to the group part of work, or we part of work. And that's essentially what we're seeing is the life cycle of content is finally available. So you start working from, let's say, your OneDrive for Business now. You'll start working by yourself on a document. Maybe you'll share it, you'll edit it, and you'll share it with 1 or 2 or 3 people. And then at some point, you want to be able to copy or move it to a space where a team is working on the document. And that's what's been approached in SharePoint and Office 365, or the modern SharePoint if you want. I'll start with OneDrive for Business. OneDrive for Business got a lot. This is the me work. If you see at the top left, I put me work. There was a lot of confusion. People really and it's normal, the branding has been very interesting. But OneDrive for Business is the me part of work when you go to the office. It shows you all the files that you are working on, even if they're in SharePoint team sites. But they're your perspective on work. I'm Benjamin, I log in, this is my files. There's my personal files, which is my site, my OneDrive for Business site, if you want. And then I go and access the files that I'm working on my team sites from my OneDrive for Business app. But then there's also where people got confused, the new OneDrive for Business sync engine, because the sync was horrible, right? Everybody agree? It crashed all the time. Yeah, I had VPs lose all of their data and then blame it on me. Bad stories, but it happened. So now they've redone completely the next-gen sync. It's called OneDrive.exe and not Groove.exe, and allows a lot more. They're integrating with the Office applications as well, so you can see the files that's been shared with you and so on. Here, let's jump into a little bit of demo. I think I opened it over here. There. So you have your OneDrive for Business. This will come for on-premises as well once the updates are coming. So now the SharePoint 2016 on-premises, they work with feature packs. So they bring what they've built online into SharePoint 2016 on-prem. However, to be able to get that new sync engine to work on-prem, that's why we're probably going to see a next version of SharePoint on-premises to be able to get that, since the storage is completely different. The way they store content in your SharePoint servers is completely different. As you can see, I come to my OneDrive for Business, and the UI has changed. I have access to my team sites very quickly here, and you have a view of your personal files very quick over here. If I select any document, you now go with the right click, obviously, this is not revolutionary, but it's brand new to SharePoint and Office 365. You can right click on files. And you will have some of the details. I'll get back to the details very shortly. What I do want to go over here is that now you have the ability to copy and move your document. And when you click on copy or move, you're going to see your folders in your OneDrive for Business, but you're also going to see all of your team sites as soon as, I wonder if I should switch to the cable internet, maybe after. But you will see all of your team sites on the right-hand side that you are following, or you can browse all your team sites, and you will be able to navigate your document libraries as well, so you can copy the document to the correct document library. I'll let it load for a second, and then I'll switch here, QuickTime, go into my phone here. So you have also the OneDrive for Business app. So again, you see all of the files inside of your personal OneDrive for Business, but you can also click on Sites, and you will have access to all your team sites. So I can jump to, say, I don't know, Halo event, or I can show more, go to engineering. You will see your document libraries, click on documents, and then you have all of your documents within the document library. I can click on Office files. I will get a web preview of the file that I can access on the go. And if I want to edit it, then I open Word and it switches app. Every app that you have, I'll cancel because internet needs to be saved for other things. It's still loading over here, so I'll just refresh and go back to it in a second. But it's the ability to really have access. You must be familiar with Facebook and the Facebook Messenger. They're two different mobile apps. But when you're using both, it's seamless to the end user. You click on a button, it switches app, and you do your Facebook messaging. It's the same story with Office. You get all of the apps on your phone, whether they're OneDrive for Business, SharePoint Team Site, and Word, and they're seamless to the user that's on their iPads or mobile phones as well. So I'll try one more time, and if it's not, whoops, I do not want to view the document. Okay, no problem. I'll just get, well, I'll do it after. I need the adapter and then the adapter for the adapter. So this is all of your team sites would appear here, and you'll be able to switch and copy your file to the destination. And this is the big part of the story. If somebody in this room asks me, Benjamin, I'm new to all of this, I'm looking for my career to grow, where should I invest in the future? Well, it's basically called Office 365 Groups. If you wanted to go further, it's going to be this. It's activity-based work is what Office 365 Groups are. Office 365 Groups is the foundation to everything in Microsoft in the future. So what exactly is it? I don't know if I put my slide here. Yeah. So I created this. It was for a blog post, but I found it was very informative because I built it. So I found it's amazing. But the Office 365 group is a very simple concept. Everyone familiar with Active Directory security groups? Yeah, AD security groups or AD distribution lists. So basically, they're a group of people. You put people inside of the group, and then you go to your file share, your G drive, your P drive, and you grant access to it. This is the exact same thing, but in Office 365. They created a new security group. It's like security group version 2. Because now you have members inside of this group, but you also have owners of this group. Only difference is you have a concept of owners and you have the members of the group. But otherwise, if you go into the Active Directory of your Office 365, AAD, Azure Active Directory, you will see you have your security groups and you have your Office 365 groups. They're the exact same thing. You put people inside of it, and then you grant them access to things. Even your on-premises file shares, you can grant them to Office 365 groups. What is the difference then? Why is everyone talking about security groups and things? The difference is that when you create an Office 365 group, the moment you create it and you put an owner and you put people inside of this group, it automatically goes to all the products in Microsoft in Office 365, and it goes and it knocks at the door, and it asks for something for teams to work, for a group of people to work. So there's a little robot after the Office 365 group is created that goes to Exchange and says, what do you have to give for a group of people that need to work together? So Exchange says, well, I can give you a mailbox, and I can give you a calendar for the group of people. It is owned by the group. Microsoft Teams says, I'm not going to do anything, but if you request it, I can create a chat room for these people. Now, if you selected to go with Outlook, you cannot get a Yammer group with it. But if you chose Yammer, then you do not get, it's an or. So either for your group of people, you get a Yammer group, or you get Exchange, Mailbox, Calendar, and Microsoft Teams for conversations. For sites and files, you get a SharePoint site collection, a full SharePoint site collection. So in the future, moving forward, a lot of people told me that they do a lot of vertical hierarchy of SharePoint. Sites with subsites, and then a subsite per project, and a subsite per... That's probably, though it was good, and it's not the end of the world if that's what you've done, but we're going to go into a much more flat structure now, because we're going to use search to roll the content back up and things like this. So you're going to get a new site collection, the modern SharePoint they call it, for every team of people you have, every project you create, every interest group, every group of people that are going to work together, they're going to get a full site collection. They're going to get Planner, which is basically their version of Trello, OneNote notebook, and Power BI to create their own dashboard. Internally, for example, we have a data team. We have a group of people that analyze the data that is used on our website, the data that is used from our application, how many people are using it to migrate to Office 5, how many people are using it to report, we track all of that. So what do they have? They have their own group. They got their own email address that anyone in our company can message them. We can send an email to data at the name of the domain, and then they get an inbox where they can conversate with us from there. They've got their own Microsoft Teams chat for their team to chat together and collaborate, maybe do a Skype meeting together. Right? They store their files in their SharePoint team site. This is where they work on their documents, their presentations, or sometimes they store things in a SharePoint list. They have maybe some workflows with Microsoft Flow and a way to consume it with Power Apps. But the more important is that they use Power BI to create dashboards and reports for the rest of the organization to come and consume. And that's what their group of people do. It's not trying to say you get a SharePoint and try to make it with SharePoint. Is we understand that you're going to work with multiple products, use whatever you want that fits your needs. I'm going to have security and rules around it. You're going to see that with Office 365 groups, there's also now classifications. Whenever you create an Office 365 group, you can create your own classification list. So you can say this is a highly secured, medium, low, or you can make up your own words. And whenever an Office 365 group is going to be created with all of these products, soon you'll be able to apply security policies to the classification. Because the reality is that it is the project that you work on that is highly secured or needs to be monitored because it's under export control, not the SharePoint site. And by doing this, you're able to create security policies for the group of people, for the project, and it applies to everything inside of it based on the classification. So by changing classification, all of my policies, for example, I can create a policy that forbids people to sync offline to non-domain joined computers. But I'm only going to apply this policy to highly secured groups. If we decide to change the classification, the policy gets removed. And I get to manage it this way instead of saying, okay, I want to secure SharePoint. Okay, I want to secure Exchange. Okay, I want to make sure that the policies are the same, and you don't do that anymore. It's group-based. It's activity-based. Make sense? Oof, I lost people. All right. Then we have, of course, the modern SharePoint. I'll jump quickly. I'm sure we're going to see it many times today as well, so I won't spend too much time there. But essentially, we have here my SharePoint team site. The membership of the group is right here, But remember that SharePoint is still SharePoint. So even though your group may have 21 members, that's the group. That's the level of security or membership above everything. It's the Office 365 group. It then created a SharePoint site collection. The SharePoint site collection still has permissions management. I can invite 272 people in my SharePoint team site without making these people member of the group. Just like I can go to Power BI, create a dashboard and invite people to the dashboard, but not make people members of the data team at ShareGate, for example. So here you come here and you click on New, you create whatever it is that you want to create in that SharePoint list. If you're on the home page, you click on New, and there as well you will have the ability to create lists, document library, pages, and apps. You have a new concept called News or Team News, which is by default responsive, always everything responsive now. So you don't have to worry about that, and it's easy to create. You can add videos from the video portal, you can add content, you can add things from pretty much everywhere. One of the most welcome pieces on a team site now is, now the resolution is a bit low, so the search button is here, but is the ability to search right from here, and the request. So again, because of the internet, it's not showing up immediately, but you will see the results show up immediately, or I just have no results for this. The one thing that I did want to show you, so let's go into, hold on. Let's go into our side contents here, or I'll just go from here. And we'll go into a document library or a SharePoint list. So you'll see that what's really interesting now is that you can select things and you can drag and drop them to the other item and automatically change the metadata. So users can just drag and drop items and it changes the metadata for that document as well. Same thing in document libraries. Exact same behavior, but what's very different is now you have the details pane on the right-hand side that's going to populate with all the columns that you have in your SharePoint document library, but now you can save them on the go. So it's helping end users to fill out the columns in your SharePoint and work on your document library a lot faster than saying click on edit properties, wait for the page to load, go to the next page, fill out the form, click OK, come back to the item. Now you just say edit, I just want to change the product, and on the go, the metadata gets changed a lot faster. Okay, so don't have that much time. What time is it already? Oh, wow, okay. I got a lot more to say. Oh, I'll go into the SharePoint mobile app as well to get a quick look on that as well. So let's go into the SharePoint mobile app here. There we go. So you can see your sites, so the frequent sites, the sites that you are following. I can go into my engineering group or my engineering team site. You see the last news. You can click on add, and you can create your own team news on the go. Let's say you're walking, you're in a meeting, you want to take some notes, you want to take a picture of the whiteboard, explain it for the rest of the team. You can directly from your phone. Discard. You can navigate the activity, so who did what in your team site as part of membership of the group. And you will have access as well to all of your lists and your libraries right from the left-hand side. So you can go to your document library. And what's going to happen is, you saw I switched to the OneDrive for Business app. So now I'm in OneDrive for Business because OneDrive for Business is about your files. So you're navigating the document library from the perspective of you and the ability to see your documents and sync them offline if you need to sync them offline. So all of this we already viewed together earlier when we looked at the OneDrive for Business app. If I switch back to the SharePoint app, you will see that you will, at the bottom, have a view of all your team news from all the teams that you belong to. So it's an aggregated view of all of your teams and all of their news that you can jump in and see what's going on there. So it's kind of like a news aggregator if you want. All right. The conversation piece. I know that Microsoft Teams, though I would have probably chosen a different name because it's always confusing. Go to your team's team. Does that team have a team? What is the team's team? But it's called Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams is the live chat piece for Office 365 customers. It is specifically for private groups, but we're expecting it to be available for public groups as well, if that's not already done so, to increase the limit of the members, which at the moment, or when I last checked, was 500 members. Microsoft Teams just went global available GA this week, if I'm not mistaken, so a lot has changed as well. So whenever you create a team of people, a group of people at the office, you'll have the ability to have your conversations by email and also add your Microsoft team, a live chat. For those that are familiar with Slack, it's a similar concept. So if I go quickly into it, the concept is very, very straightforward. You go into your Microsoft Teams. There's also a desktop app for it, so you can have a little bit better integration. On the left-hand side here, you will have all of the teams that exist, all of the Office 365 groups. Remember, everything is always linked to the Office 365 group, and everything else is an activity that is associated to it. So when you created the group engineering, we saw the SharePoint team site for it. We can see the conversations for it in Outlook using email, but we can also have live conversations in a chat form within those team members. And they're very different than having conversations by email. This is for really, hey, how's it going? Hi, is anyone working on project A? And then people can reply to it. Apparently, I'm Christoph Fiesinger at the moment. Don't tell him I stole his environment. This is from Microsoft. I think he knows, but it's fine. Oh, wait, it's recorded. Don't send it to him. Okay. And of course, you can create a HTML form of data. You can have happy faces, but what's been really popular, it's the ability to customize the text here whenever you're working. And then send. You can create live videos as well. So the conversations between team members, it flows a lot nicer. It's a lot easier for people to conversate and work on the projects day to day, reducing emails by a whole lot. Because now you don't have to BCC or CC everyone that is not interested. They'll come and they'll conversate if they need to. And from the top, you can quickly access. Microsoft Teams is becoming almost a homepage of, like we have Outlook for many years. Microsoft Teams is many ways replacing that because it's the place I go to in the morning. I open it up and I have all of that information, all of my different teams. I can have the conversation. Hey, how's it going? Good morning. Do we do our daily right now? Should we wait 15 minutes? Apparently, there was 60 centimeters of snow last night. People are probably going to be late. So we just discussed that over here. But at the top, we can jump to our document library for this is the team site that essentially showed you a few seconds ago. And it navigates your team site over here. You can create a new document right from Microsoft Teams. So you don't have to jump to SharePoint. You can access your files, but you can also open your SharePoint team site, which I was just in a few seconds ago. You can stay the whole day basically here and add your own custom tabs. So you can add a Microsoft Stream, which is video portal. You can add a Word document, link to a PDF file, and have it embedded in your team. So if ever your team is working on a project, you always want that PDF available next for all members to see. And they're adding a lot and a lot and a lot more connectors. On top of all of that, because it's a chat software, you also get bots. We've built our own bot as well. It's called Office Vibe. And the ability of Office Vibe is to survey employees. Hey, how's it going? Is your manager, did they check up on you recently? Would you recommend the place as a good place to work? Do you have some feedback? So it pokes people, but you can create bots for everything. And you have bots already that do quite a bit of things. And they can work in your channels, in your engineering team, while you're having conversations, or they can be private chat channels, like the T-bot from Microsoft, that is a help bot, for example. And you just ask questions, and it responds if it understands it well enough. So that's the vision, if you want, of the internet in many ways. Instead of going to a homepage and trying to find the right location, you go to your team, and whenever you're looking for something, you ask it. to a bot, and it brings the information to you, or translates, or whatever you need to be done. How's everybody doing? Still okay? All right, just checking, it's important. Okay, we're about 10% of the presentation in, and I have 5 minutes left. Yeah? Planner, I'm not going to go into too many details. Personally, I would tell you that carefully look at it before you decide to jump into it. Planner is very new, and I haven't seen many updates in a good year. I know they're still working on it. I think they're revamping the team a little bit. But the idea is to organize your task in a card form. So if you're familiar with Kanban, or if you're familiar with working in sprints, or you just want to get organized, you create your cards, you put your information, your due date, and you can move your card from left to right to represent something like the backlog column, the sprint. You're going to have the doing, the blocked, InDesign, integration, done. And you move your card with all the activities that are inside of it, links to documents in your team site, along with it to the destination, which is the done column. Or you just use it to organize it. What are our events? What are our messaging and branding? And just store things to help you stay organized, if you will, for your team. The reason we decided not to use it is for a very simple reason. You cannot assign more than one person on a card. And that was a stopper for us in our organization. Right? But for those that are evaluating Trello Planner, the integration of Planner with the rest of Office 365, if it's good fit for you, is definitely something that makes sense. Power BI, I think, is probably one of my favorite tools after SharePoint inside of the organization. I wonder, can I go to mine? I will navigate. Now I'll just use the demo environment because I don't know. We have somebody from my competitor at the back. I don't want to put sales data by accident here. But I can go from my engineering team site and jump directly to the Power BI piece of that team, of that group of people, right? So you will have, this is demo data, right? Just making sure customer profitability. Yes, this is demo data. Okay. Whew. Okay. And so you will see number of customers, and you can interact with the data. And we actually use this very, very much inside of our organization because everything's today data-driven. And we want to have the ability to have more insights on what's going on in our organization. So you can dive in by clicking, and you will have interactive data here where you can click on something and everything else on the page is going to get adjusted based on what you're seeing. So these are always reports that only have one thing inside of them, but you get essentially the idea. You can embed an Excel online directly here, but it's very, very valuable for us because we have our scorecards, we have our KPIs in a way that anyone in the organization can consume easily. Or ask questions. There's also a search box, and you have Power BI Q&A where you can literally say, show me all customers by region, and it automatically creates a map view of your data because Power BI understands the data. I think there's some fun sessions on Power BI today, actually, so definitely check those out. Very, very interesting. And again, integrated to your Office 365 group. Go back to my example of our team internally. We have a data team. They get their Exchange mailbox. That means they have a calendar for them to organize their dailies, their weeklies, their sprint reviews, everything that they do together. They have an email address, so anyone in the organization can send a request to that email address or ask questions because they question the data often, right? Then they have their Microsoft Teams, so they have a live chat so they can conversate within each other and maybe have a live meeting or do whatever it is that they need to do when they're working live together. They're a good team of 2-4 people. Then they have the Power BI piece where they create their reports, they create their dashboard, and they present them to the organization or just a few people, and they have the SharePoint piece to work on the actual files. Security, I talked about the classification list and the security policies that you can assign to them. Delve is transforming. If you didn't really notice already, Delve has changed names even in some places called My Analytics. And though we still have Delve in terms of searching for content, it's really becoming about people and people profiles. If I go to Delve today, it's going to be 100% about the people profiles now. So I'm actually going to click here and go to my Delve, which I can't see because I'm looking for it. There we go. And essentially, you will have the Me part, where you will see your profile, the free busy calendar from Exchange integrated as well. You will have the About Me and every document that I've been working on or my colleagues have been working on. But I can also switch to some of my colleagues here and have their people profile or their organization profile here as well, and get their free busy right from the interface. Then you can move on to My Analytics. My Analytics requires an extra license in Office 365, but gives you information about your calendar and your meeting hours, your time. How much time are you spending in meetings? How many times you're spending in emails or meetings? People that you need to stay in touch with, people you're losing touch with. How many hours you're spending in meetings? Are they too long? Are they not too long enough? So you have a lot of information about your habits with emails and such like that. So that is part of Delve Analytics. And of course, you also have the app, if I can open it, there. And here it becomes the People app. You jump to a certain person, Mike, and you'll have their profile. You can see what their colleagues work on, does he work with, so who does he report to, who are their peers, who do they work with as well. And I can see what they're working on and jump into it. Of course, it's always based on security. Do you have access to see that information first and foremost? Oh, he's working on a Pan-Pacific proposal, so you can jump into it as well if you want to see it. Very, very interesting. Everything is mobile, as you saw. I always switch to my mobile phone. Everything is a mobile app as well, so you can jump through all of them from Outlook to OneDrive to Office to video, and they're adding analytics in OneDrive for Business. So when you share a document with people, you can see how many people have viewed the document right from your mobile phone. So all of this, what is all of this? All of this is simply to be able to add choice. You want to be able to give a choice to your teams, to your organization, so they can choose whether to use this product or that product, the red pill or the blue pill, and not bypass you and go to Slack, Box, Dropbox, Trello, and other things like this. So the idea is to keep them in a controlled environment, an environment that you have federated accounts with, that you have security policies, that you have the control over external users, right? Because Office 365 has the external users that you can limit to, sync offline, yes or no. You have that control, and your end users have the choice whether or not to use it. So should we go all in with activity-based work in Office 365? I think that's why we're here today. I hope you enjoyed the day and all the sessions that Evoluday presents to you, some really cool ones. I'm going to attend myself. The question, I leave it up to you to think about. Are we going to store everything in SharePoint and just deploy now SharePoint 2016 and then SharePoint 2000, whatever, 19 or 20 or whatever it's going to be called? Or should we look at it as what activity are my teams working on, my group of people working on? And can I make sure that I can give them a productivity package that goes for them and they choose to use what they need for their work while I stay in control? I essentially give them a service. It's IT as a service in a certain way. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Otherwise, have a great day regardless. My name is Benjamin. Have a good day. Merci.